Hello everyone, this is part 17 of What If Naruto Was in the 7 Ninja Swordsman, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The Forbidden City, feudal capital, land of water. Noble ideals, my lord. If only the world worked like that, refuted Yagura respectfully, as he placed his cage hat back upon his head and turned towards the exit. Contemplate your actions tonight, my lord. For tomorrow, you shall be publicly declared the third Mizukage. From the corner of his eyes, Yagura saw a resigned smile arrive on Genjutsu's lips as he lowered his head, which made the new Mizukage walk towards the exit. Yagura. The new cage stopped and turned back to look at his predecessor, who looked him right in the eye. You may hand us all over to the E, but very soon the disgusted and tired people of this nation will bring you all to justice and drag you alive through the dirt in the streets. Yagura flinched upon those words even as Genjutsu screamed for Reika Kaguya hacked off his left arm. With a heavy silence, Yagura walked out of the dungeon, never again willing to meet that determined gaze. Naruto unleashed Muramasa from his back as he watched Lord Hero Hagoromo take command of his vast army. Many looked reluctant, but the fear of their family's future made them raise their weapons against the Kiri general regardless and brought forth a satisfied smile on the clan head's face. You just dug your own grave, General, insulted Lord Hero. All I can see is a loyal army led by a sheep. Come, challenged Naruto with a fierce roar. 1,000 ninjas made the first move by clasping their hands together and unleashing a combined attack. Water style, death rain. Dark clouds blanketed the entire sky, followed by a heavy downpour of endless razor-sharp needles. Naruto saw each and every one of the incoming attack thanks to his visual prowess and had already finished his own set of hand seals. Fire style, demonic flames. Red-hot flames erupted from his lips that seared across the sky and instantly raised the temperature of the entire battlefield by several degrees. Nearly half of the enemy's barrage was boiled away and the remaining clashed against the searing flames and met their end. He didn't get any relief as from the corner of his eyes, he saw a sea of metallic weapons launched at him by the army on the ground. Wind style, destructive wave. Manipulating the air around him, he made it clash head-on against the wave of weapons, dispersing them far and wide, much to the chaos of the enemy army as they scrambled to protect themselves from the reversed barrage. My turn, whispered Naruto with a grin. Lightning style, 1,000 shards. The skies roared furiously as fierce lightning sparked across the clouds. Lord Hero Hagoromo and many shinobi realized the imminent danger when they felt the wet ground beneath their feet and their own drenched be thanks to the earlier attack. Take cover, he screamed. In less than few seconds, hundreds upon hundreds of dark purple lightning strikes rained from the skies, hitting one fighter after another. Their screams echoed across the entire battlefield as they were and fell to the ground. We should join him, said Mangetsu bitterly. Those are not our orders. The general knows what he's doing. Look, he's not them. Pointed Haku patiently. Mangetsu begrudgingly saw what his friend was trying to show him as the general most of the non-shinobi fighters in the enemy army with his wide-range lightning attack. It was not lethal enough to KO them, but sufficient to knock him out for a few hours alongside giving him some burns. A part of him was happy when he saw the sheer look of horror on Lord Hero Hagoromo's face as he watched the carnage being wreaked by a single man. Do you think we can together take on the general? Asked Zabuza curiously. They watched the said man now focus his attention upon the remaining enemy army made up of shinobi led by Lord Hero Hagoromo, many of whom were now backing off a bit in fear. Mangetsu felt an enormous power being gathered and saw Naruto rapidly perform a quick set of hand seals. Water style, rising thunder. Lord Hero Hagoromo felt the ground beneath his feet shaking tremendously, his eyes widened in horror when it started cracking apart and a haunting rumbling could be heard rising from the core of the very earth itself. He jumped in the air just in time to see the earth break apart as a tsunami of water exploded towards the sky. Hundreds of shinobi were instantly swept into the new monstrosity, while hundreds more who had jumped were struck further high into the sky as the wave continued charging upwards relentlessly. Lord Hero himself was struck and felt himself flying higher than anyone else in the sky only to meet the gaze of this jutsu's caster. Before he could react, dark ash surrounded him and started consuming his entire body until he was covered in it completely except for his head. Looking down, he saw his entire army floating in a new lake. Most fighters were unconscious, many were still dazed, the few still strong enough to resist were being swirled viciously in dangerous vortexes. Even the daimyo's civilian army, which had been incapacitated in the earlier attack, was floating over the lake with not a single one of their warriors drowning. It couldn't be a coincidence. "You're not human," whispered the clan head in fear, earning an ice-cold smile from the blonde devoid of mercy. "You made the wrong choice, Lord Hero. Now prepare yourself for the consequences," declared Naruto without hesitation. Mangetsu, who had been watching the entire battle, was further alarmed when the captured clan head was further uplifted higher and higher in the sky with the ash enveloping his entire body except his head. "That's impossible." Haku's horrified whisper drew his attention towards the lake below as gigantic volumes of ash started rising from it, which then moved towards the clan head now frozen in the sky. "He's absorbing chakra from all those shinobi and transforming it into his own. Samehada is quite jealous," commented Kisame in surprise, as he patted his greatsword. Zabuza saw the phenomenon with his own eyes as the still resisting enemy shinobi grew weaker and weaker until they joined their already vanquished fellow warriors in floating over the lake completely exhausted and devoid of power. "It's the water. It is sucking all of their chakra," he pointed. "I don't think we can win against him in a fair fight even if we all fight as a team," answered Mangetsu reluctantly. The same realization was dawning upon the 501st warriors, but more importantly across the vanquished enemy army, as they saw their leader now getting cocooned into a tornado of ash which swirled wildly for several long moments. Mangetsu's eyes widened in shock as he realized what was going on, which made him turn towards the 501st and the other swordsmen swiftly. "Get away from here," he yelled. Haku was the first to understand his fear as she remembered facing this familiar power once when they had all tried to take on the general together in a friendly battle within Kirigakure. He had showed him a glimpse of his true power then, but many had not taken him seriously, thinking it was a good thing considering he was on their side. But now, as she and the other swordsmen guided the 501st to a safe distance in the sky, they heard the general's declaration echoing across the entire battlefield. "For betraying your cage and this nation, Lord Hero Hagoromo, you shall hear screaming," said Naruto mercilessly. "My clan will avenge me," promised the bitter clan head with vengeance burning in his eyes. "Then they shall all screaming like you will today. Your name, your children, your families, your friends, they shall all disappear like you will today. I shall wipe out the Hagoromo and Kaguya clans alongside all traitors and the feudal lord's entire clan from the face of this earth," declared Naruto furiously, as he clasped his hands together. "No. Ash release, particle annihilation." The swirling ash tornado surrounding the clan head condescended over him completely before glowing brightly. Each and every fighter had to shield his eyes when a monstrous explosion rocked the entire sky. It launched a shockwave that swept across the land for several kilometers and vaporized the clouds in the nearby sky instantly. The loyalist army trapped in the giant lake watched in horror as their clan head was in an explosion as powerful as a bijudama from a tailed beast, whose flames were now spreading across the entire sky, devouring everything in its path. Not a single trace was left of him. He had simply disappeared just as the general had promised. The same man looked at them with his red eyes boring into the very soul. "Do you still wish to dance?" A cold and satisfied smile came upon Naruto's lips as one by one the remaining shinobi raised their hands in surrender, and they would more than spread the word of what had happened to their comrades and the daimyo's fighters who were currently knocked out cold. Few hours later, Ganru found himself placed beside Commander Saji of the daimyo's army. Both men looked at each other, being the highest-ranked military commanders of their respective forces. In Ganru cases he had been the second in command after Lord Hero Hagoromo. With the clan lord now destroyed at an atomic level, it left the Kirigakure Junin in charge of the shinobi forces. He looked around and saw their respective fighters were being gathered in the same manner. Those that had wounds of any kind were being treated diligently and even looked after by the 7 ninja swordsmen. It was something Ganru had not expected to see in his wildest dreams. He looked at General Naruto standing in front of them and remembered the young man's words before the battle. True to his promise, not a single shinobi or civilian fighter had lost his life. There were a few injured, but nothing a skilled medic and a few hours of rest didn't solve. The only casualty of the battle being the Hagoromo clan head, who if Ganru was being honest wasn't liked by most of the troops under his command. Not only was he arrogant and felt he deserved to lead because he was born in a noble clan, had been quick to anger and did not hesitate in threatening the families of his men should they disobey or betray him. It was no surprise that he was the first to be crushed in the face of real power. What happens to us now? Asked Commander Saji loudly, drawing Ganru's and everyone's attention. It's up to you to decide, Commander. If you feel the daimyo deserves your loyalty, then you and your men shall be allowed to return to him. But know this, the next time we meet in battle I will not be merciful to protect this nation's future, answered Naruto straightforwardly. The middle-aged bald man with dark eyes nodded respectfully at that answer before turning back to look at his own men. Hundreds of them nodded at him, which made him turn back towards the Kiri general. What is your vision for this nation's future, General? If we join you and lose against the daimyo, then not only will the Kumaun Brigade be known as a traitorous force, but our families including our children will be publicly our villages burnt to ashes, said Commander Saji seriously. I want some semblance of prosperity and peace in this nation. I want our people to be happy instead of constantly living in fear of their rulers. I want them to enjoy the crops they grow instead of paying 80% of it in taxes to fatten up greedy feudal lords. Less than 3% of the population, which is the nobility, hold more than 75% of this nation's wealth. Why are our royal armies focused on defending only cities ruled by noble families, leaving smaller villages to the danger of bandits, pirates and rogue shinobi? I am fighting to give our people a better future than this, answered Naruto passionately, his voice reaching each and every shinobi alongside civilian fighter. I understand the risk you all shall be taking if you join me, but in my eyes a revolution is needed to change the destiny of this nation. My own wife alongside my unborn child to protect this nation by weeding out traitors eating this great country from the inside. I know what pain is. Many Kiri shinobi were stunned on hearing that admission. They had known the general's wife had recently. Genjutsu Hozuki had announced it personally, along with acknowledging her bravery in saving Kiri's future by weeding out traitors from their ranks, but to think she had been pregnant. Ganru saw the respect for the general increasing in many shinobi's eyes, and he had already been loved by a majority of their people to begin with. My goal is to destroy this corrupt system. I want our people to have an active voice in the destiny of our nation. I will build a nation with a single system instead of the current one where shinobi are kept aside. I will lower the taxes upon our people and use the unequal wealth amassed by the feudal clans under the daimyo to help our people better their lives and develop our economy. The thousands that have no work will be allowed an opportunity to serve their country by joining the army, which I shall create, an organization of both shinobi and civilian fighters. I will build a nation where our people don't go hungry, where they have a respectful living, where they can live in peace, where a warrior of any kind is honored, where a person, no matter his origin, can rise up the ranks if he has the skill and dedication to serve this great country. Promised Naruto passionately. Commander Saji saw his trusted second-in-command, Arashi, to be the first to stand up. He had a spear in one hand and a shield in the other. Coming from one of the fishing villages, he had been one of the few lucky ones to reach where he had today, despite the opposition commoners faced in the daimyo's army, while rising up the ranks firmly held by the nobility. Arashi was well respected by the men under his command, and it showed when one by one many young ones stood up and joined their leader. Commander Saji looked at the Kiri general in front of him carefully. He was young, but his power was unmatched. Having read his dossier out of curiosity when Osaka was conquered by this shinobi, Saji knew he came from the Kiri Black Ops. He was the sole survivor of the now extinguished Namikaze ninja clan and a member of the infamous 7 ninja swordsmen. Most importantly, he had the lightning daimyo by going behind enemy lines. It was a testament to his skill and resolve that not even many Kage could possess. He led the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st, some of the strongest fighters of their nation. He was young and handsome with a better vision for the future than their feudal lord. For a shinobi you have honor, General, commented Commander Saji, earning a smile from the younger man. Every human needs to have some, answered Naruto, which earned him a respectful nod from the feudal commander. The remaining feudal warriors saw their commander himself rise to his feet and look back at them with a favorable smile. That was the last straw as the remaining warriors rose to their feet with Arashi clashing his spear against his shield. An action that soon became a war cry as it was repeated one after another by every fighter including their commander. Ganru saw the general now looking at him with the leadership of the shinobi forces currently under his command. I would want nothing but to serve you, General. You have led our people well in this war and truly care about our shinobi. I only ask you to spare those among the rebellious ninja clans that surrender, requested Ganru. Naruto saw the reason for that as many among the shinobi were from noble clans. A commoner fighting to preserve the nobility. If only Lord Hiro Hagoromo could have realized and respected this loyalty. I am not a butcher, Ganru. I may have said some words in anger during the battle, but you have my word that any fighter that chooses to surrender shall not lose his life, promised Naruto sincerely. General, protested Mangetsu, earning an understanding nod from the blonde who knew the boy's feelings very well. But no mercy shall be given in battle or to those that were actively involved in the coup or war crimes against their own people. We shall punish all those responsible for betraying our Mizukage Lord Genjutsu and restore him as the ruler of this nation with full honor, declared Naruto seriously. Ganru saw his own men were satisfied with that assurance, and so was the previous Mizukage's son alongside the 7 ninja swordsmen. You'll make a great Mizukage yourself someday, General, thought Genru privately. But he kept those thoughts to himself, knowing where his loyalties had to lie from now onwards. The shinobi got up on his command and joined the feudal warriors. Zabuza chuckled when the shinobi pledged their loyalty, drawing a curious glance from Kisame. What is it? Asked his fellow swordsmen. They should have sent fewer men. They would have faced fewer losses, answered Zabuza with a wicked grin. Kisame smirked as he understood the cryptic message as he saw the 10,000-strong army made up of feudal warriors and shinobi alike pledge their absolute loyalty to General Namikaze. I can't think of anybody in Kiri who could have done something like this. Recruiting the very army that came to KU, whispered Amayuri jokingly. Lord Genjutsu chose well, agreed Jinpachi. Haku placed a comforting hand on Mangetsu's shoulder. We will save your father. The general has not abandoned him and neither have we, she promised him. I only hope we make it in time. Don't stop me from butchering those responsible for this, he warned her, earning a cold smile from his childhood friend. We will kill them all. Mangetsu smiled and saw the general stepping towards his new army and raising his hand victoriously, earning a thunderous roar from the assembled warriors. Ganru, who leads the rebel faction? Asked Naruto seriously. Lord Hiro Hagoromo and Lady Reika Kaguya launched the coup with the feudal lord's support. They later on appointed Lord Yagura Karatachi as the third Mizukage with the council's support, although it was far from a fair vote since the remaining clan heads had lost the true Kage and were threatened, revealed Ganru. The Karatachi clan. I never thought the desire for power had been this strong, admitted Naruto. For once even he was surprised by this treachery. After all, Lord Yagura had never opposed him and Genjutsu publicly in the past. He shall burn just like the rest, promised Mangetsu icily, earning a firm nod from Haku as well. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that threat and saw both of these warriors would not be satisfied without creating a river of traitorous bee. That, however, will do more harm to Kirigakure. Mangetsu. The Hozuki heir stepped towards him, and while there was no disloyalty in those eyes, the thirst for bee was apparent, and Naruto realized restraining him would not be possible for long. Except for Zabuza and Kisame, the rest of the swordsmen will be under your command. So will the 501st and most of the 10,000-strong army here. I want you to take the Forbidden City and kill the feudal lord and his entire clan while rescuing Lord Genjutsu. Can I trust you with this? Asked Naruto seriously. Of course, General. But you will not join us? Asked Mangetsu in surprise. If Kirigakure currently under Yagura's leadership learns that we not only survived but are marching towards the feudal lord's capital, he will send another army to stop us. I'll take a small force alongside Kisame and Zabuza. Together we will recapture Kirigakure, preventing any reinforcements from surrounding your forces, and take back the village so Lord Genjutsu can return as a victorious Kage of this new nation instead of one that has to dirty his hands with traitorous bee, promised Naruto. Mangetsu smiled readily after hearing the plan and surprised everyone including Naruto by hugging the Kiri general. My father is lucky to have a loyal ninja like you. We all are, said Mangetsu thankfully. Naruto returned the hug and smiled but didn't tell the boy about the dark possibility of Lord Genjutsu already being S or getting E once the daimyo came under attack. Either way, his survival was bleak and Mangetsu would S everyone in that city if that ever happened. Better that happened in the feudal capital instead of Kirigakure itself in front of all their shinobi, which would only cause more mistrust among ninja clans for their own future. Whoever the feudal lord and his family would be cherished by the common people, but it would forever make them a pariah among the remaining noble families. Ninjas and civilians alike. It was for these reasons that he had chosen Mangetsu instead of himself. If Mangetsu won and saved his father, he would be known as a hero among the loyalists but become a pariah among the nobility. If he lost and got his father he would be known as a martyr of this nation who laid down his life for their people's future and that of his father. But Naruto's eyes were fixated upon the real target that would not only help them win this civil war, but also help him achieve his own ambitions. Kirigakure. Genjutsu wheezed painfully in the darkness. He felt the stumps that were once his arms scream in agony, but never once in his heart he felt any sorrow for himself or the decisions that led to this outcome. Gods knew a part of him deserved this for all the sins he had committed in his own life. In the name of power and personal gain. His mistakes that led to the death of all the previous 7 ninja swordsmen and so many of his comrades while trying to start an unplanned war with Iwa for his personal revenge against the Tsuchikage. In the name of upholding noble traditions, he had allowed young ninja of his village to each other all to become the next 7 ninja swordsmen. He would have perhaps walked on that dark path had he not met Naruto Namikaze. The boy had been the only one who stood up to him, showed him his mistakes, made him forcefully acknowledge the suffering and pain endured by their people due to selfish rulers like the daimyo and Genjutsu himself. A selfless soul who risked everything for Kirigakure's future. I pray you meet a better end than me, child, he prayed for the boy. His tea longed for water and he may have whispered for it a few times in his stupor and watched a shadow emerge from the darkness. It was a man with long hair wearing a traditional armor similar to a samurai and those worn by warriors from the clan wars era long ago. His face was covered behind an orange spiral mask with twin holes from which the man's gaze looked upon the disgraced Mizukage. Who? Wheezed Genjutsu. The man came forward and brought forth a water pouch from his back. Wordlessly, he offered it to the tea prisoner who accepted the small mercy with a grateful smile. Once he was finished drinking the precious liquid restoring much needed energy into his maimed body, he was further surprised when the man mercifully washed off the bee from Genjutsu's face and upper body while also healing quite a few open wounds that eased his pain. Who are you? Asked Genjutsu once again. You are a good man, Lord Genjutsu. Very few if any could have dared to change the destiny of their nation, even if it meant risking everything one holds dear. It's people like you that gives me hope for humanity, answered the man respectfully. The flame that you have sparked shall soon spread across the world. Shinobi will soon rise to end this continuous cycle of suffering enforced upon us by the feudal system. Know this that you are not alone in this fight. I am truly sorry it had to come to this point for the people to truly awaken, he continued. Genjutsu smiled and felt as if behind that mask the man returned that gesture. Is it true, they sent an army after Naruto and my son? Asked the Mizukage worriedly. They did, but I have faith in the general and all those who follow him. I am a ghost of the past, but when I look at him, I truly believe this world can be changed if good men stand up. You sparked that flame and for that we'll ensure that the world remembers your promised the masked man. The alliance with the leaf succeeded? Questioned Genjutsu. He got his answer with a surprise when the man's eyes awakened the famous Sharingan. He did it, whispered Genjutsu happily. Kirigakure's future is safe, you ensured it. I wanted you to know that, said the masked man compassionately. What happens next? Asked Genjutsu. It's almost impossible to get you out of here in the present circumstances. The capital is locked down and heavily guarded, but we can still try, proposed the Uchiha. Genjutsu shook his head with a resigned smile. It's too late for me. Don't get yourself for my sake, disgraced and broken as I am, I can still help Naruto's cause. Don't let them publicly me, the rebellion against the feudal system in this nation will need martyrs. It's my fate to be the first one, answered Genjutsu resolutely. Are you sure about this, my lord? asked the masked Uchiha. I am a shinobi even in this state. Don't let them eat me publicly like a common criminal tomorrow, it will only spread fear among the masses preventing them from overthrowing the feudal lord, requested Genjutsu. The Uchiha looked at him for a long moment before giving a solemn nod. You are the third man whom I have come to respect. A true Kage shinobi, I shall grant your wish. Genjutsu's eyes widened in shock when the man removed his mask and his Sharingan changed form into a strange new pattern. I, Madara Uchiha, grant you an honorable death. By the time this genjutsu is over, you shall be with your beloved wife and Kirigakure shall rise from your ashes. 2 weeks later, Naruto was standing in his own tent surrounded by his comrades old and new on both sides as they all looked at the map laid out in front of them. How were the results of the joint training? Asked the Kiri general. Very well, general. The men understand our objectives and have synced well with each other's fighting styles. There is always room for improvement, but we can't wait any longer lest our enemies become suspicious, reported Commander Saji, leader of the Kumoun Brigade. We are ready for hell, General. The capital will burn alongside the daimyo's clan, promised Arashi, his second-in-command drawing a swift glare from Naruto. You will do no such thing, Arashi. The people are not our enemy, any who raises their hand against them shall face it with my own hands, warned Naruto fiercely. Naruto, there may be some casualties of innocence in the fighting, pointed Mangetsu. Then you will protect them from dying. A warrior's duty is to protect his people and not terrorize them. This will be an honorable army. Rapers shall be castrated and crucified, of innocence shall be buried alive and looters shall have their eyes gorged and hands severed. The only one you shall kill in the capital is the daimyo, his clan and any fighter that stands in the way of that objective. Those that surrender shall be taken alive, ordered Naruto fiercely, his glare daring anyone to argue otherwise. Honorable but dangerous, warned Jinpachi, earning a cold smile from the blonde. Those are my orders. If any of you or your men are against this, then there's no point in starting a civil war. We have to be better than the daimyo even if it costs us heavily. It's easy to destroy but much harder to sustain. Destruction and terror are remembered for long, but kindness and selfless service are remembered much longer. Win your own people and I promise you one day this world shall be yours, urged Naruto. A tense few moments followed, but the general didn't budge until one by one his supporters nodded their consent in deferment. Who leads the capital's defense? Asked Naruto seriously. General Ape. An honored veteran of the first great ninja war, he's a shrewd leader with a true sense of duty. Do not underestimate him, General Namikaze. As long as he remains in the capital, the royal army will fight till the last man to protect the feudal lord. You must either win him over or defeat him honorably in combat for his army to see the futility of this civil war, although that still might not be enough in the worst case, advised Commander Saji honestly. Naruto placed a strong rock inside the capital and looked at the marking signifying the strong walls and defenses of the city. You must pull the royal army outside the city walls to force a decisive battle. A war of attrition is not something we can afford lest Kirigakure send reinforcements to encircle us. I'll take a 500-strong shinobi force alongside Kisame and Zabuza and stop that from happening. The rest 9,500 warriors, the 501st and you commanders shall join Mangetsu in taking the capital, instructed Naruto. Don't you think you should have more men, General? You are talking of attacking Kirigakure, warned Zabuza. The village is not my enemy, Zabuza. It's the usurper and his followers, I know how to deal with them. By the time I am done, they shall face a punishment worse than death for their crimes and any that tries to support them shall meet the same fate. I can do it, promised Naruto resolutely. For a moment, they were all taken aback by this show of confidence, but on remembering the general's past exploits none questioned him further. Very well, Naruto. Is there any suggestion or strategy you can recommend for taking the capital? Asked Mangetsu honestly. Force a decisive battle in your favor outside the city walls. The daimyo as soon as possible to destroy the enemy's morale. How you do it I leave to you, answered Naruto frankly. Surely you'll have more than this to help us. You have never lost a battle, we need your inputs in this important task, implored Amayuri with a heavy frown, but was surprised when Naruto still shook his head. An army can't always rely upon one man's brilliance and leadership. Should I fall in battle someday or be unavailable, my troops and people shall not lose hope or be leaderless. This is your chance to be generals in your own right and earn your own legends. Take it. Even so, should you need me I will be there, but don't call unless you are facing the jaws of absolute defeat, explained Naruto earnestly, as he threw one of his special three-pronged kunai towards his fellow swordsmen. She grabbed the weapon and gave him a determined nod, making him look at all the other leaders with a hopeful smile. I wish you all good fortune. With those words, he bid them farewell and marched towards the exit of the tent with Kisame and Zabuza joining him. As he emerged outside, the ground beneath his feet trembled as the army before him stood at full attention. The look in the eyes of 10,000 warriors swelled him with pride as the rest of the commanders also joined him outside in a few short moments. No matter the odds against you, there is one thing that remains the same for each of you, my warriors. You are required to protect the future of this country against all enemies. It means you shall have to fight till the end against those trying to destroy it, announced Naruto thunderously. Ganru saw the shinobi around him be galvanized even more with those words and the fire burning in their general's eyes. Your parents, your siblings, your wives and children, your friends and comrades, your countrymen. All these people have placed their trust in you. Make sure, my warriors, that you do not betray that trust or diminish their pride, said Naruto with a proud smile. He received an army of salutes in one swift motion from the army before him and determined nods from the ones who were going to lead it. Now let's go write our own history. Kisame Hoshigaki walked towards the front of the column to march alongside Naruto as their 500-strong force advanced towards Kirigakure. It had been a few hours since they departed from the main army heading towards the capital, and he watched the general being more cautious than ever. Instead of rushing towards their village, he was taking a more measured pace and leading from the front, making full utilization of his sensory powers to prevent any ambush. Zabuza also joined them, and so did Ganru, drawing a curious glance from the blonde. Something on your mind? Asked Naruto calmly. Nothing in particular, Naruto, answered Kisame frankly, earning an understanding nod in return. General, is it true that you want to conquer many nations? Asked Ganru honestly, making Zabuza twitch and glare at the man. Naruto laughed and waved off any apology that his fellow swordsman was about to make for disclosing his goal to a new shinobi commander in their ranks like Ganru. Sooner or later they would try to do the same to us. I am only trying to protect Kirigakure, answered Naruto. Some men say it's your ambition. I have silenced those voices, but it will take some time for them to believe in you fully, advised Ganru carefully. Everyone I ever loved is already Ganru. So are the dreams that we shared together. Even if I conquer the whole world someday, there is no one left to acknowledge that feat. My clan, my family, my friends, my wife and child, they are all gone. All I have left is my loyalty to this nation, its people, and my desire to bring some semblance of order in this chaotic world. I don't know what my fate is, but if I do not even try to do that, then all those people would have in vain. Choose Mangetsu or anyone else as your new Kage or feudal lord if you wish, I will not object. I have no use for personal glory or power anymore. Kirigakure and our people's future is all that matters to me now, answered Naruto with a faint smile. Even as he confessed to his men, the gravity of that enormous loss haunted his heart. What he wouldn't give to enjoy the simple things in life once again, what price he wouldn't be willing to pay to have all those whom he had lost to be by his side once again. It made him remember his own sins, all the innocence he had killed at Osaka in his revenge. Only when he lost his own wife and child for no fault of their own did he truly understand what he had done to others in the past, and what pain he would inflict in the future for the sake of his own dreams. Ka warrior, a nation crumbles. K their families, you'll awaken a force of vengeance that shall destroy you, whispered Naruto prophetically. Zabuza saw the way those words impacted all the shinobi following him, even if they pretended to not listen to their officer's conversation. Many kunoichi and even few men looked sad, while others gained a newfound respect for the man, but for most it was an important realization that their leader was also an ordinary human with feelings like the rest of them, even if his powers and brilliance were extraordinary. Previously there had been unstated fear in many of these fighters, for their small force was alone going to attack Kirigakure, currently held by enemy forces. Naruto's battle prowess and leadership alongside the presence of 2 of the 7 ninja swordsmen had been the only reason they had even agreed to such a task, and while that fear still lurked to an extent in their hearts, Zabuza also saw a new determination burning in their eyes, for they knew the man leading them truly had their nation's best interests in his heart and not his personal glory. His own respect for that man went up even higher. He remembered a conversation with Lord Genjutsu not too long ago. "Tell me, Zabuza, is my son comfortable in following Naruto?" The second Mizukage had asked him. "I'm surprised you chose him to lead over your own son. Mangetsu is loyal and follows orders, but I would be lying if a part of his heart is not disappointed with your decision, Lord Second. You even named Naruto as your successor," answered Zabuza truthfully, earning a pained smile from the older man. "A cage isn't born, Zabuza. He's made by steel and suffering, something which Naruto has endured more than my son," replied Genjutsu honestly. "It takes strong men to rule and lead, my lord," pointed Zabuza, which made Genjutsu nod. "True, but Naruto is more than that. Traitor few of our own clans call him. I laugh, no traitor ever cared so much about our people. Looking at him makes me truly believe that one day he shall change the fate of this nation and perhaps the ninja world." Looking around, he saw the same belief taking root in the hearts of every shinobi, including Kisame and Ganru, as they all followed the blonde leading from the front. They didn't know what fate had in store for them, but for the first time in his life Zabuza was proud to follow this man, even if it meant walking into hell together. He had earned their respect with his actions time and again. Maybe someday they would become revered generals in their own right under his leadership. 2 days later, Mangetsu stood on top of one of the numerous hills leading towards the capital. His eyes fixated towards the famous city in the far-off direction. Beside him stood Haku, Commander Saji and Captain Arashi of the Command Brigade. Together they waited for several long minutes until two silhouettes appeared in the distance until they materialized themselves as Jinpachi and Amayuri. Mangetsu looked them both in the eye as soon as they reached their location. "How is the situation?" he asked them. "Not good. The Imperial Guard is manning each and every pass leading towards the city. They are on alert and fully prepared. The capital will be sealed the moment any fighting breaks out. We spotted barrier markings around all its directions," answered Jinpachi worriedly. General Abe is a cautious man. With his experience, he would have asked his troops to be ready for a counterattack, warned Commander Saji, the leader of the Command Brigade. "Mangetsu, they outnumber us. I sensed close to 15,000 warriors," reported Amayuri hesitantly. "That's the Imperial Guard all right. Expect 1,000 or more of the daimyo's personal guard to be present within the city. 16,000 against 9,500 of our forces. The odds are heavily against us," said Captain Arashi bitterly. "How strong are our forces in comparison to the enemy?" questioned Haku, drawing a grimace from Commander Saji. "I do not doubt the bravery or dedication of my men. However, the Imperial Guard is much better trained, equipped and organized. In an open battle they could crush us under General Abe. I would never take him on with my 5,000 non-shinobi fighters if we didn't have 4,000 ninjas, the 501st and U-47 ninja swordsmen in our ranks," admitted Commander Saji frankly. Mangetsu listened to all their arguments, and while he outwardly didn't display any hesitation or fear, in his heart he was worried. One wrong move would see his army crushed and his father held captive inside the capital E. He was also order-bound to not harm any innocents in the fighting, an act which he considered foolish. If only Naruto was not so idealistic. He chided himself for such thoughts when he remembered the same man had given him almost the entire army and their best troops while sparing only 500 for his own assault of Kirigakure. Understanding the odds against him and the concerns being discussed among his comrades made him truly understand how difficult it was to lead. His own father had led their nation, and so had Naruto on numerous occasions. He couldn't let either of those men down. Wordlessly, he opened a small scroll holding a map of the entire area and looked at it closely. A small smile came upon his lips as he saw something that could help his predicament. His comrades didn't fail to notice and joined around him. "We'll launch a three-pronged attack. Diversion, deception and destruction will be the pillars of our strategy," he announced. "Amayuri and Arashi, you both shall lead a contingent of 2,000 troops and encircle the trade port of Ming here," said Mangetsu decisively, as he pointed at the location on the map some 50 miles from the capital. "That's the feudal lord's consort's ancestral home. It will be fairly defended," pointed Commander Saji of the Command Brigade. "I know. You are not to assault and simply encircle the port. Showcase strength more than you have, advised Mangetsu with a sly smile, drawing a grin from the redhead Kanoiki. Understood, make them S-bricks, agreed Amayuri, earning a nod from Captain Arashi as well. If my prediction comes true, the daimyo will route some of the Imperial Guard to protect his consort's family. When they march your way, Jinpachi, you are to launch a surprise attack on them from the rear with 1,000 of our most fierce warriors. Amayuri and her group shall help you complete the pincer movement, suggested Mangetsu, as he pointed at the specific locations of contact. If a portion or more of the Imperial Guard is in danger, General Abe will send heavy reinforcements from the capital, warned Commander Saji, making the Hozuki clan air nod. Yes, that's why you Commander Saji shall take command of 4,000 troops and prepare for an ambush of these incoming reinforcements here. Buy us as much time as possible, while Haku with more than 2,000 of our remaining forces shall remain in hiding near the capital. Once General Abe sends reinforcements from the capital, I'll launch an aerial attack with the 501st and secure the gates. I'll establish a foothold and together we will take the city, declared Mangetsu confidently. While all his comrades nodded one after another, Mangetsu didn't miss the slight worry in their eyes. I know I am not General Naruto or my father, but I promise to fight till my last breath for this army and our mission. Leave General Abe and the capital to me, he promised sincerely. The 7 ninja swordsmen shall stand between the Imperial Guard and our army, agreed Haku, earning firm nods from Jinpachi and Amayuri as well. Once again Commander Saji and his subordinate Arashi were grateful to have switched sides from a regime that considered them to be disposable pawns, towards warriors willing to fight and S for them and the future of this nation. The Kumaun Brigade shall fight till the bitter end with all of you, he promised with determination. Forbidden City, next day. General Abe stood in the royal courtroom as the daimyo entertained himself to artisans that had arrived to sell their wares. The middle-aged man with stark white hair and a heavy beard could only watch in dismay as his feudal lord was more interested in such trivial things when the future of his reign was at stake. They had received no word yet from the force they had sent to capture or kill General Namikaze and his followers. It had been more than 2 weeks now and General Abe couldn't help but worry about the outcome. Best case, their army had achieved their objectives with heavy losses for General Namikaze and his men were the finest warriors of Kirigakure who would not go down without a brutal fight. Worst case, their army was destroyed by the Kiri general. Or even more dangerous switched sides. He had warned Lord Kirihara about the grave danger and had only been rebuked for being too fearful. His demand for more reinforcements from Kirigakure and the feudal lord along with the new Mizukage to take care of this problem completely dismissed by his liege. Genjutsu is our loyalists rule Kirigakure now. The nuisance of a general shall be hunted down sooner or later, let Yagura deal with it. I have already given him an entire brigade as support. General Abe still hadn't found it in his heart to forgive Lord Yagura III Mizukage and his supporters for what they did to Lord Genjutsu. The punishment for treason was death and the man deserved it for going against the feudal lord, but he deserved to like a warrior instead of being to death like an animal. But then again, Kirigakure and its shinobi had never known honor. He stopped himself when he remembered reading reports about how General Namikaze had fought on the front lines alongside his troops reducing casualties drastically. Of how he had stood up to the powerful ninja clans of Kirigakure to give the spoils of victory to the families of his martyred troops and the village instead of filling their personal coffers to gain political favors for himself, of how he had behaved admirably during the funeral of his men, his exploits in the Lightning Daimyo were still whispered in the Imperial Guard itself. The same man had fought for the future of the citizens of this nation by eliminating the pirates at Nagi Island and established a possible treaty with the Land of Fire. Soldiers will walk into hell itself for a leader like that, he whispered solemnly, a part of his heart wishing for things to not have gone down this way. If only Genjutsu had seen reason and not tried to disturb the existing political balance. As if his words were prophetic, a messenger was allowed inside the courtroom and immediately rushed to kneel before the feudal lord. My lord, enemy forces have laid siege to Ming, reported the messenger, fear evident in his eyes. The humongous feudal lord got up from his throne more swiftly than Abe had expected and glared at the poor man kneeling before him. Who? He asked furiously. It's General Namikaze's men, thousands of them have surrounded Lord Kijima and his garrison. They request for your help urgently, my lord, answered the messenger quickly, if only to save his own life from the feudal lord's rage. Unfortunately for General Abe, that anger was now directed at him. How the hell did this happen, General? Asked Lord Kirihara tersely, as he marched towards the older man. We shouldn't have underestimated General Namikaze and his men, my lord. I apologize for not insisting repeatedly for additional forces to make sure he was taken care of earlier, answered General Abe carefully, and bowed his head in apology. The feudal lord paused as he caught the subtle jibe and glared at the Imperial Guard leader. I get your point, General. Now go and deal with this problem before it gets worse, commanded Lord Kirihara frustratedly. I would advise against it, my lord, objected General Abe, making the feudal lord clench his fist angrily. Explain, he ordered, looking far from pleased. Assuming our force sent to subdue the general was defeated, his ranks would have swelled if some our fighters switched sides, but not enough to face the Imperial Guard in open battle, nor capable enough to assault the capital with its solid defenses. I believe this is an attempt to divide our forces in order to attack the capital, which is their real target. Make no mistake, they still believe Lord Genjutsu is alive and held captive. You are their real target, not Lord Kijima, explained General Abe. He saw realization dawn upon the feudal lord and his rage subsided to a great extent. We still can't let them attack our allies. Deal with the problem as you see fit, General, ordered Lord Kirihara. Yes, my lord. I'll send 1,000 warriors from the Imperial Guard and recall few reserve companies from the hinterlands. We will surround the enemies laying siege to Ming in 2 days. Together with Lord Kijima's garrison we shall launch a pincer attack on them and wipe them out. In the meantime, I want your permission in securing the capital fully until we assess the true nature of this threat, said General Abe. He could clearly see the daimyo did not look pleased with the suggestion in front of all his political advisors and the royal court. Such a move would depict weakness on his part and would damage his prestige. But Abe would much rather prefer a living feudal lord with some tarnished image rather than AS1. It was why he looked at everyone inside the courtroom with the most grim expression he could muster. These are the same men that K the Land of Lightning's daimyo by going deep behind enemy lines and him in a place where he felt most secure. For the sake of this monarchy's future, I beg your support. He requested openly. That instantly did the trick, not only on the daimyo who flinched on being reminded of that dark fact, but more importantly each and every political advisor and various lords backed the move to seal the capital swiftly. With their consent and full backing, General Abe turned towards his men and relayed his orders instantly. Deep in his heart, he felt a familiar feeling of excitement along with dread rise up, as after a long time he would be facing a foe worthy of respect. Let us see who outsmarts the other, General. Kirigakure. Ganru got a smile on his face when he saw the familiar mountains of the mist village emerge on the far horizon. The ever-present mist continued to shroud the entire village sans the fierce and tall mountains at the far end. He saw General Namikaze shared his worries and had already activated his infamous red eyes. Ganru would be lying if he didn't find them intimidating. Having fought a few Uchihas during his life, he knew the general's eyes were not like the dojutsu, but they were pretty close. Maybe an ancestor of his was from that clan. Send a water clone, Zabuza, instructed Naruto. The bulky swordsmen grunted but created a water clone nonetheless that slid down from the hill they were perched upon and swiftly ran in the direction of Kirigakure. It had not even sprinted a few hundred yards before it simply melted away in the blink of an eye. He looked at the general and saw a grim smile arrive upon his lips. Zabuza, take the left flank, Kisame take the right flank. Ganru, follow my lead down the center. It's time for our decisive battle, commanded Naruto with determination burning in his red eyes. Each of the 3 officers nodded immediately as the 500-strong force jumped down the hill following after Naruto, who led the charge. He watched Zabuza and Kisame divide half of their force into their respective flanks while the rest followed Ganru, charging right behind Naruto himself. Quickly their entire force made a few set of hand seals and multiplied their numbers 3-fold as Naruto finished performing a set of his own hand seals. Wind style, destructive wave. Unleashing a powerful barrage, he watched as the heavy corrosive mist across the entire area was dispersed instantly and they came face to face with the enemy waiting for them at the gates. In front of them were thousands of shinobi, led by warriors from the Kaguya and Hagoromo clans. Yagura Karatachi stood on top of the village walls looking at the rebel army in front of him with an ice-cold gaze devoid of any mercy. He watched as Naruto brought his charge to a halt as both men glared at each other. For the sake of your men and this village, I order you to surrender, Naruto declared Yagura calmly. Funny, Lord Hiro Hagoromo said the same before he was destroyed at an atomic level, his ashes never to be found again. Answered Naruto mercilessly. A cold smile arrived on his lips when many Kiri shinobi loyal to the new Mizukage flinched and took a step back, but the most outraged was the Hagoromo clan that went ballistic on hearing of their leader's fate and was about to charge him blindly until Yagura yelled them into submission. At least for now. In that case you have left me with no choice. As the third Mizukage I order your on this battlefield alongside all who stand with you, said Yagura mercilessly. To his surprise, not a single one of Naruto's men backed away in fear. Instead their resolve and intent hardened further. I do not know or care as to why you did this, Yagura, but by the time we are done with you the Karatachi, Kaguya and Hagoromo clans will be erased from the history of this village. We shall destroy the very memory of every traitor that dared to raise his sword against Lord Second. I shall give you and all those who follow you a fate worse than death, proclaimed Naruto fiercely. Many in the Kiri ranks wavered when he magnified his intent until Yagura gave a signal bringing forth a monster that made Naruto's forces take several steps back in fear instead. We'll give you the same fate you bestowed upon Lord Hagoromo then, answered Yagura with a cold smile. The monster that was once human and someone whom Naruto cared about roared furiously, shaking the entire area and each and every fighter on both sides. Its 5 tails flew wildly in the air even as a team of sealing specialists tried their level best to prevent the beast from attacking their own forces and push it towards Naruto's direction instead. What have they done? That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.